Hey everybody, Lieutenant Joe here for the Blue Heart webcast. We've really gotten a lot more subscribers because you, my brothers and sisters, and supporters of law enforcement, are telling your family, friends, and other officers to take a look. Now, if I know if you go back and you look at the episodes, people are kind of surprised how many episodes we have and all the content that's in there. Some of it's for fun, some of it's for learning, some of it is general interest, but we have a lot of good stuff here, and I appreciate you being here very much. So please subscribe if you haven't, and tell your friends, family, and everybody else that loves law enforcement to join us here at the Blue Heart Webcast. Hi, our sponsors, Blue 360 Media, my publisher. They publish all my books. RiotTint.com. They make safety glazing for windows and glass, right? In schools and businesses. Awesome place. And if you're in New Jersey, medicalessentialdiagnostics.com. They are a company that provides health screening for you and two adults in your family at no cost to you if you are a employee of a government function in New Jersey. So federal government, state government, local government, county government, first responders, schools, anybody like that. It's a service that can help keep you alive. So take advantage of it. Medicalessentialdiagnostics.com, RiotTint.com, and Blue 360 Media. Go there. We're starting a training function on Blue 360 Media. Lots of good training. A lot of my programs will be up there. Okay, so out in the world, we are seeing a lot of protest. We're seeing protest, and protest is a protected activity in the United States of America. People should be able to make their voices heard, whether we like the voices or we don't, whether we agree with somebody or we don't. We all have a right to make our voices heard. Now, nobody has our right to make our voices heard doesn't mean anybody has to listen, but we have a right to make our voices heard and protest peacefully, right? When riots erupt out of a protest, when vandalism, looting, assaults start to take place, people throwing rocks and bottles at the cops and Molotov cocktails, those are criminal acts within a protest. So the protest itself is constitutionally protected, it's free speech, but those activities are not. And the problem that we're seeing across the country is that in many of our cities and towns and states, for that matter, the political establishment is more concerned about the rioters than about the safety of law enforcement. We are seeing the continual attacks on ICE officers in many places. Very dangerous what's happening. Throwing rocks and bottles at cops, I tell you, you know, from my time on the job, we had protests and we showed up at these things. Somebody throws rocks and bottles, we singled them out of the crowd. We went and grabbed them and locked them up, and they were held to account. Judges didn't just let them go. But you know what? You are policing in a different era, in a different world. So it's unfortunate that you have to be treated like that. So you have to be careful. You have to train. You have to take it seriously because one of these things can pop up just about anywhere. So last year, I was asked to go to a security conference down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was asked to speak about a program I had written on protests on campus for schools and for universities and for those security departments and law enforcement, how to prepare for those kind of things. And there's a lot of steps that you can take before, during, and after a protest. And I'm probably going to do a show on that specifically so that I can get it out here for you. It's going to be a longer one. That'll be a long form kind of a program, probably 45 minutes or so. All right, but in the meantime, what I've done is I've created this, a 10-point checklist for supervisors and officers to consider when working a protest that could turn violent. Now, some of the locations that I write for, one of them is thebluemagazine.com, thebluemagazine.com. It is a national magazine. It's awesome. You should go take a look at it. A lot of every month, a different column of mine is up there, an article, but there's tons of great writers in there, great articles, really amazing. The team there, they started out as NJ Blue, then they were New York Blue, then Florida Blue, and now they are just the Blue Magazine, the voice of law enforcement. And I support them and they support me. So that's good. All right. So the articles are out there. Anybody that wants anything, if you have a question, if you have something you want to ask me, something you want me to cover, a story you want to tell for one of our segments, reach out to me, joe@pangarotraining.com, joe@pangarotraining.com, and reach out and let me know what's going on. I'd be happy to get you on, talk to you, research something, give you my opinion, whatever. So for this, I have this. This is coming out in article form. Um, I believe the Blue Magazine's going to do it. I also sent it to NJNEOA, New Jersey Narcotics Enforcement Officers Association. They have a monthly newsletter that goes out. It'll be in there because I'm on the board of directors there. So I provide articles and content for them. So we'll go over these. Whether you're an officer or supervisor, here's some things you need to consider. A thorough threat assessment and pre-event planning. Now, a lot of us are in agencies where we'll never see a protest. A small town, a community that just does not have protest. There's no university in town. There's no reason for anybody to come out and protest. Well, the reality is you might be called 2 towns over where you have a memorandum of agreement to help them, and you have to go over and do that. So being prepared in your agency is important. So you should make sure you have training on how to respond to these things. Make sure you have the equipment you need, right? Somebody's throwing rocks and bottles. You better have helmets and face masks and body armor, things like that that can protect you from these kind of things. We can't do much about the political will of our leadership in our towns and cities. If they are more worried about protesters than they are about you, my brothers and sisters, there's not a lot you're going to do about that. You need to do your job and do it well, but you need to do it safely, right? So make sure you get the right training. All right, so when I look at this, thorough threat assessment and pre-event planning, how can we find out what these people are planning? Well, social media. Go on social media and see what's going on. See if you can hear that they're calling for problems. They're calling for people showing up. And if you are in a community where there could be protests, and a lot of us do live there, where we do have universities, where we do have people that are upset about everything that's going on in the world, and they want to go out in the street and protest. And like I said, that's a legitimate thing to do. But when it turns violent, we have to take action. And to do that, we have to be prepared. So scan social media, intel reports. Most of us have our county prosecutor's office has an intel division, or your sheriff's department. Find out who's in charge of intel. Who did they filter that information to? You might not be in the pipeline. Make sure you get in the pipeline. All right. Look for indicators when you're talking to people. If you come across people who may be involved in any of the groups or the organizations that are going to protest, and you arrest them for some other reason, a traffic warrant or some, have a conversation, talk to them, see if you can find out what's going on and when things are happening, right? So you can be prepared. Number 2, personal protective equipment and gear checks. All right, so we started talking about that. In our agency, everyone was issued a helmet, a riot baton, a riot shield, more advanced equipment than just on patrol. Do you keep that in your cars? If you don't, you should now, especially if you're in an area that can be involved in responding to a protest or a riot, or if you could have it in your town. So that's very, very important. Get that all together. Dynamic unit organization and role assignment. Clearly defined roles, crowd control teams, arrest squads, medical support, and team leaders. So, our town had its own SWAT team. And then we moved to a regional SWAT team. And then it moved all to the county, where they took officers from each community, each police department, and put them all on one big team so that we would respond anywhere at any given time. And we had plenty of personnel. So whatever you have, or if you don't have that, find out what resources you have available, who's going to come and help you if you had a riot or some kind of problem. But within your own team, you can have a small situation that gets out of hand. Say you had a domestic violence where someone was arrested and that person was injured, or they attacked an officer and the officer fought back, and people misconstrue what happened there to be the officers just beat a guy for no reason, and people start to get upset, could start a mini riot in your downtown. Have you thought about that? Have you done that in training? Have you considered it? Do you have a policy and a procedure on it? And do you have equipment available to you should you have to go out and deal with that, right? Layered defensive positioning and use of barriers. All right. So again, this sounds like stuff you say, oh, I'm a smaller town. We don't have any of that kind of stuff. You probably have road barriers and stuff like that. You should be prepared to have some kind of equipment. If you're in a bigger town, make sure a mid-sized town. I know we had equipment and training, but there were a lot of mid-sized departments around us that didn't have equipment, didn't have training, and just figured, nothing will ever happen. That's a bad point of view. You never know when something's going to happen. So I would take a look at that. Situational awareness and targeted surveillance. Embed spotters if you can. If you know there's going to be an event taking place, there's going to be a protest, or somebody's going to go out and do speeches. Put some undercovers in there, right? Of course, they have to be trained, they have to know what they're doing, but stick a couple of undercovers in there. Let them mingle with the crowd. Dress like the crowd, act like the crowd, find out what's going on. Listen. One of our best tools is to listen, hear things, and then you can let people know. This is where everybody's going. This is what they're intending. There's a pallet of bricks that just got dropped off at the corner of East and 3rd Street, whatever it is, right? So undercover spotters are always good. Tactical de-escalation and force discipline. Empower officers to use time, distance, and presence before tensions erupt. All right. Deploy less lethal options first. So if we think about these things, when things start to get out of control, it's classic to remember that if you cut off an avenue of escape for a crowd, that is when the crowd could bubble over and you could have a problem. They feel that they're trapped. They don't know where to go. You shoot a tear gas grenade or a smoke grenade into that crowd, that can cause a panic, especially if people feel they can't get away from it. So you want to think about that tactically. Do the right thing. And that's why practicing is important. Figure out the different areas of your community where you might have this, and look for these different areas and pre-plan it and tell everybody about it. Injury prevention and immediate medical response. All right. We all have usually first aid kits in our cars, but is that enough? Right? Should we get something bigger, mobile kit that has quick clot in it, some kind of quick clot product in case somebody gets shot or stabbed? You could save the officer's life or a civilian. Bigger first aid kits so that you could bring with you. You might have multiple people injured, hit with bricks, hit busted in the face, hit with a rock or something. You want to be able to quickly, instead of having little band-aid kits, you want to have some big kits, maybe for some bandages and things to help people. After action review and intelligence sharing. After an event, whatever it is, however it goes, you should debrief, and it should include everybody who was on scene. Now, in a bigger department, you might have 900 officers out there. You can't get them all in one room. So the leadership should get together, but there should be representation of the men and women who were on the front lines. Let them tell you what they saw, what they heard, what they experienced. So when you debrief, you get all the information and you can be better prepared for the next one. All right. And then finally, a mental health support and ethical oversight. So nobody likes to think that any of our people would do the wrong thing. But when tensions are flaring, when people are upset, when somebody gets hit with a brick, or you watch another officer get injured very badly, it's natural human response to be angry and act out with anger. We know as professionals, we can't allow that to happen. If somebody is causing violence, we stop the violence. We use the next level of force than what they're using on the continuum to stop them from being violent. We don't go beyond where we should. But remember, the human side of this is that being in the midst of that, in the middle of it, especially if it gets very violent or if there's a lot going on, people can overstep their boundaries, not because they're bad, but because they're in the middle of the heat of the moment. What seems like the right thing might not be. So that's why, again, preparing, practicing, thinking about what we would do. How do we do it? When is the right time to back off? And when is the right time to go forward? Do we have the equipment and the training and the leadership for that kind of thing? And one of the ways we get those things is by doing a tabletop and figuring out what you're going to do. Talk to your leadership, to your department, see what resources are available. There could be funding for equipment that you might need. The key is to think about what you might be involved in and then prepare yourself mentally, physically, and equipment wise, and policy and procedure to make sure you're advanced in the beginning. So one of the things I say all the time is you don't want the first time you have to do something to be the first time you thought of it. that's when it's going to go bad. So thinking in advance, looking at your community and saying, well, we almost had a protest last week, or at the college, they're having a problem, or 2 towns over, they have lots of problems and we may have to go there. That's when you start to prepare. What will our response be? Me as an individual officer, me as an individual supervisor, and as an agency. How can we prepare our officers to be safe, secure, and do the job that our communities need? All right. So I want to thank you for being here. Remember, share the channel with your friends, your brothers and sisters. Make sure they know about us. Subscribe and reach out, joe@pangarotraining.com. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or if you would like to tell a story about something happened in your career, we'd love to have you on. Our sponsors, Riot Tint, Blue 360 Media, and Medical Essential Diagnostics. 3 good friends of law enforcement. Take a look. And until then, we'll see you down the road.